It's Reija and I'm here with my partner
Vold.
and today we are going to talk about all the behind the scenes stuff that goes on behind the scenes of my channel. And Vold is here because he is basically my creative director and executive producer and my staunchest supporter. And if Vold wasn't here, I would be filming with my potato DSLR with no lights and probably no mic, and yeah, I would pretty much just use what I already have, which is completely fine unless
Unless you have standards. I mean, your standards are different from mine, clearly, because you were like, "This is fine. We don't need no lights." And then when you got the lights, you were like, "Okay, I guess we can keep on using the lights." And this has happened with every single thing that I have modified.
What Vold means is that you shouldn't, if you have the means and you want to invest in different gadgets and technology that will up the quality of your videos, you can totally do that. But you shouldn't have to break the bank and you shouldn't have to bankrupt yourself in order to do that. So if you want to film with a regular phone camera, that is completely valid and legit, and you can have wonderful videos and wonderful content. However, we in this household are a bit extra when it comes to technology because we are both in the information technology field and we just like having a bunch of gadgets.
Yes, and speaking of using cell phones as your only camera, that's entirely fine. In fact, you can get same or better quality sometimes than with a cheap DSLR with your phone. And you can attach a lot of stuff to your phone to get like studio quality audio from your phone if you know how to do it. But that's the thing, like half of the stuff that we use come from the fact that I already know what we need, so I can get stuff that fits that need. And might not work at all if you try to do something else with it. For example, in this scene that we are currently in, the scene is not moving. The camera is not moving. So based on that, I can do certain decisions on what kind of equipment we can use.
Yes, and I can show you, for example, that when I do like vlogging and also when I do some of my Instagram shots and when I do like some of my comic art videos, I just use a regular phone. I use my own phone basically, and this is a Samsung Galaxy S6, and like this phone is as old as our relationship pretty much. It's like 4 years, so it's not the newest camera. You could probably get the same one right now used for like half the price that I paid for it.
You could get it for probably like 80 euros, I think.
Yeah.
Is what that would probably cost.
And it's like you can get decent quality out of it. Like this phone has a camera, like if you are not using the front camera but are using the other one, you can get 1080p resolution, 60 frames per second, which is like decent.
You can get 4K video out of that one, but more than likely you can't actually use the 4K, but you can shoot in 4K and then put it into full HD. And when you do that, you get really good quality video. The problem with that is that it uses a massive amount of space to store that.
So let us just start going through the progress of my channel. Like, where did I start? Can you give me the camera that I used?
Yes. And here is the original camera.
This is my original DSLR that I already had when I started my booktube channel. I bought this camera, I think, in 2011, I want to say, when I was studying fashion design and I needed a decent camera that I could use to do production shots and stuff. And I also was very into doll and figure photography. So I wanted a DSLR that didn't break the bank, and I got this body. This is a Canon EOS 550D, so not the best one. And I got this and the 38mm lens.
No, you got this kit lens with it.
Yeah, kit lens, yeah. For like 220 euros, new.
And this particular lens that is currently on it is a manual lens, and this is the original one that came with it. You can do pretty okay stuff with the kit lens that comes with it, but there are certain drawbacks. For example, it's the amount of light that this kit lens lets through it is not the greatest. So since and this comes to the fact that when I said that the scene is not moving, this lens that is currently attached to this has even though it's a smaller lens, it lets through a lot more light, meaning that this is better for videography, especially with a rather medium range DSLR like this, because the more ISO you use, the more grain you're going to get into your video. So since we want more light in, since we don't use autofocus at all, I just used a manual lens with an adapter. And if I wanted to buy this lens as a automatic lens, so that you can get, you know, all the autofocus and stuff like that, the price difference is tenfold. So this was, I think, 30 euros.
Yeah.
And 10 euros for the adapter. So if you want to do stuff cheap and you're not moving the camera, manual lenses are really good for that.
Basically, the best thing about that one was that we could do the setup and put the frame in focus, and then I could just bulk film a bunch of videos, like 10 to 15 videos, and I could like have lunch in between, and we wouldn't have to focus the lens again, because it's manual lens, and as long as the camera didn't move, then the focus was still fixed on the spot where we had already focused it.
And because of that, you need to kind of use this tripod that we have, or any tripod for that matter, for filming a thing so that your camera stays still. And
once again, this is a tripod that we already had in the house when I started my channel.
Because I had gotten myself a tripod because I have some camera gear of my own. So for taking long exposure shots, I had to use a tripod, so I already had that. And the downside of using manual lenses is that you're going to need either a cardboard cutout that you use to get the focus, or you need another person that gets the focus on you when you're sitting down. But that's the price you pay for getting cheaper gear.
And then we could talk about the lighting setup that I used when I started. So you already saw the DSLR that I used and the lens that I used. This is the original light setup that I use. It's this cheap light. You can do it like this. And I taped these on the door in my filming room where I filmed the first videos. And we had this second-hand, like, used battery packs from, like, where did we get these?
Well, the thing is that these, I think, yeah, these are interesting because these are actually just cases, and these are salvaged lithium cells that I got out of broken laptops, so that I can get, you know, battery banks for cheap.
Other
So
way around.
So this thing will use a single cell and convert it to anything that you want to charge with.
Other way around.
No, it's the right way around.
Oh, oops.
So these were like, I think 80 cents each, these cases, and they were, I think, the cost of the cells were like 50 cents each.
How much did these ones cost? These were really cheap.
Yeah, and those were actually meant for my like electronics stuff, but since we already had those, I just had you use them as your
Yeah,
lights.
I had like 3 of these. I can put some of my old videos in the cards where I used these lights.
And she'll put like the actual cost of these things here.
Well, I probably will have a list in the description of how much
it's more useful to have them in the shot.
Another interesting little thing about the DSLR was that Canon's DSLRs are basically limited in how long you can film with them.
So there's two problems. First of all, the cameras themselves, due to a tax law in EU, you can have cameras that are just still cameras, or you can have cameras that are video cameras, and like camcorders. And there's a higher tax for the camcorders. And there's a certain limit, which is half an hour. So the reason why any device will just record half an hour is because of that tax. And these things, the maximum that they can record is half an hour. But due to the video encoding used by this thing, which is kind of old, if you do full HD, the maximum amount of time that you can record is roughly 12 and a half minutes. And since this one does not have, unlike the newer models, a swivel screen or a front-facing LED that would tell you when it's recording, you can't actually tell when it's stopped.
Yeah.
Where this thing comes in, which is a adapter that I made, which just takes the LED that's behind the camera and records what that LED does with a photosensor here. And then the photosensor's information is transferred into a microcontroller that then is like, is the light on or not? And then decides to put this thing on. Essentially, it's just a really complicated light guide that just puts the light from the little LED into the big LED, so you can tell when the camera's on or off.
And as long as the LED in the back is giving light to the sensor, it blinks and lets you know that the camera is still operational and filming you.
And this is essentially how it would have mounted onto the camera, so that when you screw it into the tripod, the sensor lines up and the LED in front comes to the side. But then again, it's only possible for Reija to have this kind of stuff because I already knew how to build these things.
Well, I also could have used, for example, a screen that I could have put in the screen port over there and just had it...
And before that thing was made, you just used a timer that was on 12 minutes, and when the 12 minutes was up, you were like, I need to go shut down the camera and then restart the camera, because otherwise...
Yeah, I had a timer on my phone which would like start yelling at me when the 12 minutes was up. And then it was a process. It was a process to get this stuff done. Then we could talk about some of the stuff that we upgraded.
So first
we upgraded the lights.
And this is a Viltrox L132T. And I think this was like 25 euros each. And this made a massive difference in the lighting of the room. Like I'd say that if you're going to buy some gear and you already have a cell phone, get a adapter for a tripod so that you can put your cell phone on a tripod, get a tripod and get some lights. That's going to be enough in the beginning. But because the light is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Everything else pretty much comes secondary. Then the next thing is the microphone, but light is the most important thing.
The thing you need to know is that I film mostly during the nights, actually. So I need to have a lot of light. Our apartment isn't very well lit, especially the living room where I film. And we needed to start investing in some proper lighting gear, because my like day schedule is that usually when I start to film it's like 9 p.m. and the weather in Finland does not really have a lot of natural light during that time unless we're in the summer season. And usually during the summer season we want to put the blinds on because there's just too much light.
And when we say like enough light for filming, that means that it's ridiculously bright in here. Like these two lights that we currently have are searing my retinas currently, and what you need for normal working conditions is a lot less than what you need for video. So like these lights are going to be blinding when you first start using them. And then we have, which one do we have the next one?
The Rode mic, basically.
We got this microphone. I got used, and
the cats got into it a little bit.
Yeah, the cats have eaten it a bit. But this is a microphone, not the best microphone. The one that we're currently using, which she'll put here, is a lot better than this one. And that, by the way, we got for free with the camera that I bought, because it was just part of the kit that the person wanted to get rid of. But this one is a okay microphone for shooting outside or when you're shooting handheld. But it doesn't have the sensitivity for really using it inside, which is why we shifted from this one to the system that we're currently using.
So I have a very shitty lavalier mic that we bought from Banggood, which is kind of like China's eBay, which cost maybe 60 cents.
That's not entirely correct. I think it was €5. Like, it's not the worst one that you can get, but it's not expensive. Like, if you want to get a better one, the better ones are going to cost you like €100 for the better lavalier mics. They're going to be really expensive. But the basic ones, you can get pretty okay quality out of them.
Yeah, and we have the pretty basic lavalier mic, and we have this Pro XD, Asden Pro XD mic transmitter, which is a two-parter. The other one is currently strapped into my computer, where it's recording straight into Audacity, so that we have two audio recordings in case the other one doesn't work out. This costs around 250 in Finland, this whole set, but we actually got this for less than €100 because we happened to walk past the pawn shop and you were like, hey,
I think
there's the mic transmitter set.
I was like, I've seen that somewhere. I've seen that like other YouTubers have used that thing. Let's see how much that thing is. Oh, like 250 to €300. Then I looked at the price, like €80. I was like, I'm buying that.
Yeah, so I think all in all, when we are talking about these things, like a lot of this equipment can be really expensive to get, but we generally have access to a lot of like recycling places that can sell these for really cheap. We look for deals online if someone is going to be selling a camera. For example, the camera we're currently using, you bought it for me as a birthday present for like a third of the price.
The original price of this camera that we're currently using is €680, and that's just the body. And it's closer to 800 if you want the kit lenses to come with it. But the person who had bought it had used it for a couple of years and decided that they don't want it anymore. They want to get rid of it. And there's a lot of people like that. They buy high-end gear, they don't know how to use it, they don't care to learn how to use it, and then they want to get rid of it because it's not new anymore.
So it's really important to look for like bargains and deals. Like a lot of this stuff we have gotten either for free from friends or from like old workplaces, or like
they're getting rid of some stuff,
Yeah.
and they're like, does anyone want this? We have to pay a recycling fee if we take it to the recycling
Yeah.
center, but if you all just take it away, then we don't have to pay, so everybody wins.
Yeah, so those kinds of deals have really helped a lot. I think the only thing that we've really paid like the full price for is the new set of lights and the gimbal that I use for my convention
tripod.
videos.
The tripod wasn't that cheap. Like the tripod was, I think, 150 euros. But then again, I have had that tripod for over 10 years. And then we are forgetting like this masterpiece, this Samsung mic.
That was the first mic that I used. I basically had that strapped to a laptop. I had Audacity running on the laptop, and whenever I would start filming, I would have to do the clapper clap so that it would start recording on this platform, on this laptop, and I could time the audio correctly with the claps in the two audio recordings and the video, so that it would sync up.
I mean, this is an amazing laptop. Like there's lots of scratches everywhere. The battery doesn't work at all. The hard drive is literally taped.
This was my editing laptop. I edited all my videos on this piece of shit of a laptop for the first like year and a half. Every single one of my early videos is edited with this laptop. This runs Linux, Ubuntu, I think 16.04 LTS, and I used Canon Live. All of these are free software, open source.
So this was a laptop that was essentially trash. So like I replaced the hard drive and couldn't find the caddy for it. So which is why everything's taped together. The battery doesn't work. It doesn't even charge, I think. And
yeah, it doesn't charge.
And like it technically works, but you could probably get these things really cheap for like sub $50 for this thing. And then if you use Ubuntu and Caden Live, the editing software, while not as good as the paid ones, is free. And that means that you don't have to pay for that. You may have to do a little bit more work, but that also means that you don't have to pay for the software.
And currently for editing, I use Sony Vegas Pro 14, I think we have. And I wouldn't have bought an editing software, but it came available in a Humble bundle. So basically it cost 20 euros and we got a bunch of other software like music producing software and photo editing software and stuff.
I think the like audio editing software.
Yeah, so we got a lot in addition to the video editing software, and it was just like $20. So paying attention to Humble Bundle and like the deals that Humble Bundle offers is a very good way of getting like very like high-end software for cheap. Like usually they might be like they might not be the full-on versions, but for this kind of editing that, for example, I do, it is enough.
And most of the time they are the previous version. So when you buy from Humble Bundle, it's like end of the year, they're going to release a new version right after this. So when you buy that, it might have a lower amount of support, but you still get the software and you can use that. Then we have other things. We have, for example, we have a couple of cell phones that we've gotten free from our friends. Like this particular one has a really nasty broken LCD, but if you know what you're doing, you can do things like using a adapter cable. You can plug the adapter cable into the phone, and you can then attach either a wired mouse, or then using a wired mouse you can pair a Bluetooth mouse into the cell phone, and you can now use a cell phone that has a broken screen as your recording device. Which means that if you have a broken device that's a couple of years old but has a nice camera, you can use that to record stuff, even if you couldn't use it for anything else.
And that's the one we basically use for my convention videos, that one and the gimbal that I bought. So I bought this June gimbal. This costs around 80 euros new, I think. Or is it 180?
No, I think it's like 120. Like, this is not one of the most expensive
I'll put the price
ones.
over there. But anyway, this is basically a gimbal, so it allows for very stabilized video when you are moving around. So it's perfect for like vlogging, convention footage and stuff like that. So I've been using it for those purposes a lot and really enjoy it. The learning curve isn't that huge.
These are really like there are DIY versions of this, and those are not the easiest to use, but the commercial ones like this one, they are really easy to use. And this thing is as important for you as a video person as a tripod would be for a DSLR. So if you're moving around, you get like pretty much the same kind of footage that you would have gotten 20 years ago by paying roughly 200,000 for someone to come in with their nice gear and film stuff with a Steadicam.
So yeah, that's basically a lot of the gear that I used and that I used when I started. I hope this video has been very informative, if not very fun, because we did get kind of technical. I will have all of the items listed down below so you can check prices and such. And tell me in the comments, what did you think about it? What did you think about this video? If you are making booktube videos, I would like you to share what kind of setup you use for making videos. I think that the setup in itself doesn't really matter. It's the content. But for me, this is pretty much my only hobby, and I am a person that is working to get myself into the tech field and such. So this is just a part of my studying process, getting to know this equipment and such. So for me, it is fun surrounding myself with different gadgets.
And if you have technical questions, just post them down below and I'll go and read them and respond. And for most parts, for like the gear that you have doesn't really matter, it's how you use it. Like if you can't get lights, just record outside during the day. You have a limitation of when you can do your videoing, but at the same time you're not paying for the sun. But there are all remember, when you're skipping with the amount of money you're paying, you're going to pay in another way. Like you might have limited time window when you can do your videoing, like only during the day, or if you have you have a camera that's really bad, that might not actually be a problem if your audio is really good. And this was the moment when my camera stopped recording because of the previously mentioned time limit that the European Union has put on cameras that are not sold as video cameras. So I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I hope that it has been very informative, and all the links, as I mentioned, will be down in the description.
And Wold will be keeping an eye out on the comments, so if you have any technical questions, he will be there to respond. And I hope you liked this video. If you did, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye bye!